5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
I'll tell you why a little bit later. It was just I had so many technical problems going on here that I didn't even want to deal with the show. I'll talk about it later. I don't need to talk about it now. I'll show you one of the technical problems. We did our interview that we always do with Will Durst, and the machine that I was doing it on decided to attack me. And as you will see in this interview, if you're watching it on our video feed, he freezes. The audio's fine. So all you people who are just listening to us audio, you're fine. But those people who are going to watch the interview, hold on to your seats because he freezes a lot. But that doesn't matter. It's what we talk about that's important. So rather than just let it go to waste and say, hey, it didn't work, we won't play it, it's pretty good stuff, so we're going to play it right now. Well, after a lot of starts and stops and everything, and because I have technical problems, which I can't even figure out why they existed, but, you do what you say, you reboot. When in doubt, reboot. There's Will Durst. Look what I got on my reboot.
Turn it on and then off.
Yes, turn it on and then off. And then I tried to turn the machine off, and it wouldn't turn off.
Oh,
yeah, it kept restarting. So I had to then do a hard start, and finally we got you. And then now my camera's working again, the one that wasn't working, and we're here.
Did you exchange cameras, or had you done that earlier?
I had done that earlier, but now this is back to the old camera, and it's working.
So this is with the little mice, and they're chipping away at the pixels and stuff?
Well, you see, I only do this about 3 times a month, okay? Use this machine to do this Skype thing. So whatever happened before. But I have another machine here. See, this is it's like, if there are days when you learn that you don't touch anything because it will break. Okay?
Yeah.
So I've got on my other machine, all of a sudden the internet freezes up on it about once a day. And I have to reboot the machine, and I don't know what's doing that. It's got to be some program I put in there. So I reinstalled the operating system. We'll see what happens. But that's been one problem. My wife has an iPhone that keeps going ding, ding. I'm trying to sleep. Ding,
Why?
ding. Who knows?
Are people sending her texts?
No.
Is she getting updates on the stock market?
No, none of that. Ding, ding. Driving me crazy. And now, of course, we have problems with me getting my video camera in Skype to work. The other one worked okay, and you said you were having trouble with your computer.
I couldn't get onto the internet for some reason. I had charged it up all night, and it opened up fine, and then I get on the internet, and it just sat there for like 5 minutes.
You paid your bill, didn't you?
No idea. Yeah.
You paid your bill.
No idea.
Yeah. Who do you use?
And of course, if I didn't have an appointment with you, it would have gone on like that.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
So what ISP do you have? What's cable service do you have, or internet service do you have?
I think we have Xfinity, which is Comcast.
Oh, okay. All right.
And they're pretty good.
Yeah, well, I have Fios, which is pretty good too, but for some reason, I keep having problems, with the internet now. And it could be my machine, but I think it's more likely something I installed recently that's causing the problem.
Yeah, you got to turn everything off every now and then.
Well, yeah. So, I put in my operating system again. We'll see maybe if that was the problem. If that's not, one thing after another. Who cares? I don't care.
It's always something.
Well, I think about giving up on this whole thing because I'm so sick and tired of the technical problems.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I live in the light switch generation that wants to flip the switch and the light goes on. Okay, and
Up
only
means
once in a
on, down
while,
means off.
once in a while, the light doesn't go on, so you change your light bulb because it probably burned out. All right, but computers aren't that way. I don't know how people who don't know about computers like I do exist in this world, because even the most simple operation, or as simple as they try to make it, is difficult for a lot of people. You know.
Well, it's like cars. Cars got so complicated. And all I know is, you put the gas in the back and the oil in the front, and then you turn the silver thing.
Yeah, well, now
But now you don't even turn the silver thing. You just push the red thing.
I'll rent a car. Let's say I haven't driven a car in about 3 years now.
Right.
Go out and rent one. Okay, I wonder if I still know how to drive. That's
no. You know how to drive. You just don't know how to turn the car on.
Well, all of a sudden, there's like you push a button to start it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't need a key? No, because you already had a key to get in, or you had a way to get in, so it knows you're supposed to be in the car, so therefore you just push start. So
I don't know about all these RFDs that we're carrying around. I don't know if they're good for us.
What, RFDs? What's that?
Radio frequency device.
Oh, well,
that's what the key is now. And that's why you can approach your car and just open the car handle, even if it's locked, because the key fob, the little key fob, is sending out a signal saying that you're okay to enter the car.
Yeah.
But it's got to be affecting us somehow,
Oh, yeah.
Like, remember when they said cellular phones, because we held them up to our head, caused brain damage?
Well, I don't think it's the cell phone frequencies that cause brain damage. I think it's the stuff you're doing all day long with your phone. I see people who never stop looking at their phone. They're always doing something on it. And I think that causes a certain thing. Let's call it iPhone brain.
Well, I'm convinced that's why people are getting hurt at ball games now. People never used to be.
It's
right.
They
used to have a screen behind the plates, and that was it, because people were paying attention.
Yeah.
And now, oh, I got hit in the head. Well, yeah, you weren't looking at the game. The ball came right at you.
Yeah. So, I mean, but you're right. There seems to be a correlation between the use of iPhones and people getting hit in the head by baseballs. So now we have to screen the entire area.
Yeah.
So people who are sitting like in the first row get a tan with hash marks all over them, I mean,
yeah, just for these silly people who can't pay attention long enough.
And actually, what you
they're going to get hit in the head with a speeding projectile.
Well, actually, you don't want to sit like down in front over the dugout. You want to be up a bit so you don't have that netting in front of you. I have a great protective device though for that at baseball games.
Yeah.
Don't go to them.
You will never be hit by a baseball.
No, well, actually, I could be. I don't mind going to baseball games. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the game, but I love the activity. I love the socialization of going to a baseball game, sitting with your friends, having some hot dogs, some beers, talking. Once in a while, something out in this pasture happens, and everybody gets excited, and then it's back to talking to your friends and having some beer. And you know what I'm saying? There's a social aspect. Now, it used to be that social aspect only cost you like $5. How much does it cost for a baseball game now?
I think tomorrow's game at the Pac Bell 18 SB Oracle Park, the Giants are playing the Oakland A's in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So it's a 1:00 game, and I think tickets are $85. And I looked at the World Series tickets because they were 30 years ago, 1989, and the World Series tickets were $50.
And that was a World Series ticket.
To go to the World Series, yeah.
Now it's $85 just to go see a bunch of guys
on a Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, travel across the bridge to come play a game.
Yeah.
And it's, well, you know what I have been griping about are movies. The cost of going to a movie, we're seniors. You may have noticed. So we get in at the lower price. You get in for a senior price, right? No?
Oh, yeah.
And the day you finally realize you're getting older is the day you're willing to admit you're old enough to get a senior ticket. If you can get especially if you're Jewish, if you can get a lower price on a ticket,
You know what pisses me off, though, is when I ask for a senior ticket and then I reach for my wallet to show my ID, and the cashier goes, "No, that's okay." Don't take my word for it.
Yeah. So, so
Movie.
What?
Movies.
Movies. Oh, movies. Yeah. So, with a senior price, let's say I like to go to the 3D movies. That's the only reason to go to a movie is for the big things, the little things you're going to see on.
I hate the 3D. I hate the 3D.
I love the 3D.
I hate.
When I was a kid, I was a big 3D fan. I saw every 3D film that came out, and I saw some pretty shitty pictures. Okay,
Museum.
But they were 3D, right? And they were real 3D. This stuff is processed 3D. This wasn't shot in 3D. It wasn't shot stereoptically. But I go to the 3D movie, and so that's a little more than it would normally be. And we're getting the senior ticket for the two of us, $42.
Holy crap!
42 fucking bucks. Now,
Holy crap.
wait a minute, that's for the ticket. Now you go in to get the popcorn and the soda. That's another $18.
It is.
Do you know that the box they put the popcorn in is more expensive than the popcorn itself, even in the big bucket?
I believe that.
But that's where
popcorn at home.
But that's where the movie companies make their profit. The theaters. And the reason theaters make a profit on that is because they don't make a profit on the films. The first week that it's sitting in the theater, they don't get a penny. Okay? Second week, maybe they get like a little percentage. If it lasts like a month in there, then they start seeing some money. But where their money is made is at the concession counter.
But I got to be honest. For the first 35 years of my life,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't pay a penny in concessions. For the first 35, I would go to a movie. I would go to the Woolworths and get candy there. I couldn't pay those exorbitant prices when I was a kid going to the movie. I could barely get into the movie. So for the first 35 years of my life, I did not buy any concessions. And then I started feeling a little more comfortable that I knew where a paycheck was. And then I started buying, but I wouldn't buy soda. I wouldn't buy popcorn. I wouldn't buy candy. I would wear big, heavy jackets and bring the candy in with me. So now I feel like I owe it back to them.
Well, my feeling is, all right, if you want my opinion on this, that you are spending a lot of money at that candy counter. So doing what you did is proper. But if they found out you had that candy, they would confiscate it.
That's what they said.
Yeah. No, let's say I go to the theater this week, and I bring with me a bucket of popcorn.
Yeah, you can't do it in,
Do you think they would let me in with a bucket of popcorn?
They would?
No, they wouldn't.
No.
They'd confiscate my popcorn at the door.
Yeah, you can't shove it in their face, but if you got it in your pocket.
But there's something
popcorn is hard to smuggle.
But there's something wrong about that. I just spent $42 for 2 tickets, okay? And now I can't bring my own popcorn?
You bring a big coat and you put your popcorn in a bag and you hide it in here and you walk in. They won't say nothing.
They won't say, yeah, right. But, and then you add to it the cab ride to the theater, which is $15, and the cab ride.
What do you get a cab to the movie theater for? Walk!
But the theater we go to is like 2 or 3 miles away.
Take an Uber.
Uber would cost us that. Maybe a little more. Maybe a little more. Anyway, so we spend about, let's say, $25 on cab. So there's 25, 15. How much are we up to? And the $42 ticket?
It's like too much money.
It better be a good movie. It better blow me.
Have you seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yes.
Did you like it?
Nah. Why? What'd you think?
I loved it.
You loved it. What'd you like about it?
every scene had like an origin to it. Like every scene, like when they start out with the Western, it looks like a Western from the 50s. It looks like one. Mm-hmm. It looks lived in. It looks like, yeah, I've seen that opening credit sequence over and over and over. It looks lived in. I like the menace of Charlie Manson's family and the fact you only see him once. And it's kind of creepy. I liked the emotional release of the fight at the end, because you hardly ever see, people getting murdered and the audience is laughing, and it was done on a knife's edge, the balance.
Yeah.
I love the scene with the little girl in the movie set, and when she tells, because you're an actor.
Well, that's a very nice piece. That's the kind of thing I love about Tarantino, is that kind of piece. But there wasn't a lot of that in this film. Usually his films...
The scene with her going to the movie to watch herself?
I don't think that was that kind of scene. I mean, I go back to things like Inglourious Basterds, where you have that opening scene with the German actor. What's his name? Christoph Waltz. And the guy, and they're sitting in the house having a discussion. I timed that thing out. That thing goes almost 15, 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And that's what I like about Quentin Tarantino, and he did a lot of that in The Hateful Eight. He is always one to take out a space in time and then really do a real thing. And it's I don't know. I'm sorry. I
hear that from a lot of people. A lot of people didn't like it.
Didn't like it a lot, So anyway,
like it a lot, or you didn't like it a lot?
Yeah. All of a sudden, my thing is saying here, encoding overloaded. Considered turning down video settings, but it isn't overloaded. I don't know. I give up on this. I hope this is This is being recorded, folks, in a fine manner. Otherwise, we're wasting our time. Anyway.
And then we're having a fine conversation.
Oh, everything goes bad. So, what can I say? This thing isn't set to overload, for crying out loud, There we go. There's the settings. And I go up here and I go to video, and the video output is currently active. Okay, fine. And the output is fine, and it's recording at a standard rate, and I don't know what the thing is. I don't see. I mean, this is just the problem we keep having. But what the hell?
My computer is, for some reason, is overloading because the blower is on. I can always tell.
The blower is? I mean the fan?
Yeah, the blower.
You don't know the technical terms. Technical term is fan.
Oh, really? It's not called the blower?
No. So anyway, how can my encoding be overloading? Oh, now it says it is. Jeez, I don't understand this. I give up. I give up on all of it. Okay. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Give up on the technology.
As well, you should say.
Anyway, so let's quickly let's hope this all records okay.
Yeah, I wrote a column about this summer being a stupid summer, stupid, lousy, stinking, hot summer.
Yeah. Because
of all the shootings and stuff.
Yeah.
That we're so busy giving our thoughts and prayers to Gilroy and El Paso and Chicago and Virginia Beach and Dayton and Toledo, that there's not even time for theme parks and picnics and cornrows.
Right. Well, it is not a good year. But I mean, how the Trump people can't say that he is giving these people a sense of permission to do what they're doing is beyond me. I mean, it is. There's a correlation. Okay. Like I got a bad program going here somewhere. I will turn off a program to eliminate that as a problem. Well, I can't eliminate Trump as a problem for these actions by crazy people because he's giving a sense of permission.
Yeah. He actually said, though, he didn't think that his rhetoric was racist. He thought his rhetoric brought people together.
Yeah.
He can't actually believe that. I mean, he is right. He's bringing people together with their victims,
That's right. That's right. So I'm it's all crazy. And I'm getting a little tired of it, so.
Do you think America's getting a little tired of it?
I don't know if America's getting tired of it. That I don't understand. I think we're getting. I'll tell you what's making us tired of it. Something like MSNBC is making me tired of it because it's the same story over and over and over again. They're still pushing the same thing over and over and over again. Or if I go to Fox, it's the same thing. It's just the opposite. Okay, but I think that we're overloaded because the media is overloading us with this stuff and making a controversy out of everything. I mean, Epstein goes out, commits suicide. Everybody's making a big deal about it. Aren't you glad the guy's dead? Hey, I like what he did. He killed himself. We don't have to put up with him now. But no, we want investigations, and Bill Barr wants the Justice Department to figure the whole thing out. It's ridiculous.
I feel the same way because of the blanket coverage. I mean, for the 3 days before Epstein committed suicide, it was wall-to-wall gun violence, mass shootings. You had experts on. You talked to candidates. It was wall-to-wall, 24 hours, just talking about, and then suddenly they switch on a dime, and it's all Epstein, and it's like that never happened. There's not even a shadow or an echo of what they were talking about before. Now it's all 24-hour Epstein. And you get people who have, obviously were booked before, and now they have to talk about Epstein. They have no opinion on it.
Yeah, this is fun. This is fun. Bobby Slayton.
Bobby Slayton is fun.
Comes to New York on many an occasion for one thing or another, right?
As well he should.
And he will call me and say, I can't see you. Because he always feels guilty about the fact that he's so filled up he can't see me. So he calls me to say,
that's gracious.
I can't see you.
Yeah.
And he always talked about the fact that he was staying at this apartment that this guy owned in this apartment house that he owned. In other words, he had an apartment where people could go and stay if they came to town. And this guy was a big fan of Bobby's and always let him stay there. So Bobby never had to pay for a hotel or anything like that when he came to New York. Do you know who the guy was?
No.
Yes, Jeffrey Epstein. So I get a text from Bobby. He's in Spain. He was in Spain doing a movie with Woody Allen. How does it make you feel about your little movie? Anyway, he was making a movie with Woody Allen, and just a little part. And he texts me and he says, "Well, Epstein is dead. Epstein is arrested." Okay, that was when he got arrested. He said, "I guess there goes my apartment in New York." And I wrote him back. And then he called me from Spain to say, yeah, he was the guy who put me up all the time at this apartment. He's the guy who introduced me to Woody.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And so when Epstein committed suicide, I texted him, "I am so sorry for your loss. If you need a place to stay, I've got a guest room."
You get a bedroom. I don't have an apartment, but I have a bedroom.
Well, he immediately calls me back, but he also texts back. He said, "Well, I'd stay in your guest room, but that means I have to have dinner with you, and I don't want to do that." But anyway, so Epstein was this guy who he knew. He said,
at Epstein's place.
He said, Epstein always had young girls around him, but they weren't underage. He liked them younger. But they weren't children, So what do you that? So I'm 6 degrees now from Epstein.
Yeah. No, that's only 2 degrees.
But he kills himself. Guess that's it, huh? I guess that's it. That's about all we got. Well, there wasn't much more anyway, so let me put myself on here. Okay, there we go. Oh man, I didn't know it didn't have an ending. Oh, wow, wow. Well, we got most of it. We had about maybe 2 minutes left on that interview. But I had, the reason I didn't do a show last night is because I was getting so depressed about technical issues here. All of a sudden, technical issues decided to happen. They're still happening today. I mean, they could happen at any moment now, but I'm going to assume that they're not going to. All right, but last night, what happened was I was doing the interview, and the thing was overloading. The CPU was overloading, and so on and so forth, and that's what caused it to have the jumpy picture. And then I guess at the end it just gave up. And you know what I found out after I finally did it and I removed something? This is what did it. This was the thing. This is the thing I have down here on this machine, which it doesn't seem to fuck around with this machine. But this one, it was screwing it up like crazy and causing all kinds of problems. So that's why we had a problem with that. I also have had a problem with this machine of mine. It's some program, okay, that's causing the problem that it's a problem to me. That is causing the whole machine to freeze up and not access the internet. Okay, so I couldn't figure out why that was happening. I seem to have minimized it, although overnight I got a message saying there was some problem with Google or something, that it might have been having a problem of one sort or another. So I may still have that problem, but I am not running certain programs right now. And I'm running the Stream Deck on here, which is the thing that, switches stuff for me, like that, okay? And it seems to be working all right now. And we'll hope that it isn't what's causing the thing to freeze up, okay? I took one other program out that I thought might be causing it to freeze up. So far, I still have a picture. So, let me see here. Can I reboot? Yeah, there we go. I just refresh that. So we're cool. Okay, the lines are open, and I'm ready to talk. Okay. I really like doing only 3 nights a week, to tell you the damn truth. You may find me doing this more often than not. I was even talking to... Oh, here we go. Here comes Phil. All right. Yeah, Phil Meyer is calling, so we'll go to Phil Meyer here. And let's see here. Let me give Phil Meyer... Oh, well, Phil Meyer already has a space, so I'll go here. And here comes Jeff Stein. But I don't think he has a place on here. So let's see here. Would you turn off your audio there, Jeff, please? Thank you. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on a second. I got to go to source 1. I got to put Jeff in there. Jeff Steinseller. Okay, there we go. Does he pop in? There we go. We can only see the top of your head, though. You don't have the thing set up well. Okay, let me see here. Here's Charlene is here. So we go to there. That's her. All right. Okay, let me see here. Would you mind putting yourself in landscape mode, please? Thank you. All right. Okay. There we go. Well, we're starting to get the citizens panel going here. Let me see here. How are you guys tonight?
Hey, good.
Yeah, you good?
Yeah, it's hot. It's real hot.
I know.
Damn hot.
It's cooling.
Alex?
It's cool. It's cooling down here.
Yeah.
So we're fine. Yes.
I got the fan on.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that's what was going on, that maybe you're only going to do 3 nights or something.
Well, I might start doing only 3 nights. I don't know. I haven't decided. Life's too short to be doing this 4 nights a week.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a lousy day yesterday, technically. And today it wasn't much better. All of a sudden, the camera you're looking at me on wasn't coming up on this, so I had to replug it into another thing, and finally it was working. And something overnight fucked up, and I got a message of a file that would tell me what was wrong, but I couldn't figure out how to read it. So whatever. There's one thing after another. It seems to, knock on wood, be quieting down, but But in all that, I had some good news yesterday. I went to the dentist because I have this tooth back here that has a filling the size of the Panama Canal. All right. And wait a minute, hold on a second. Here comes Charlie Wallace. So we'll put Charlie in here. Let me see here. He'll be in the number 4 place. Oh, there he is. Okay. So he already is in a place of. Oh, wait a minute.
Yep.
Why don't we have anybody there? Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Is this a? Let me see.
Don't exist.
Wait a minute. But there's no, oh, I see. Okay, yeah, we're fine. Oh, that's the wrong one. I don't want that one. I want this one. There we go. There we go. Okay. So I had this filling that was rather huge. Boy, where's my phone now? Oh, there's my phone, because maybe I can show you here. I had a filling that was just huge, and I'll try and...
How huge was it?
Well, I'll show you. And it was really a badly done filling by my other dentist, who I have to admit was not that great. But here, I can show the audience first, is the old filling. See that?
What's that sign? Grand Canyon?
Yeah. That's a big, it's an awfully big filling there. You see that?
The dentist took that picture?
Yeah, she took it before we did the work.
How come it's sort of low on one side and the tooth is exposed?
It's not exposed. The tooth was just, it had a lot of filling in it. It had broken off on the end. And
okay.
She filled it with that gunky, the silver stuff, which that's considered old school. And so here is how my tooth turned out after this woman did her work yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Can you see that?
Nice.
Yeah, she used composite or
and she really made it
Beautiful.
she made it really beautiful.
Yeah.
And I was worried that what was going to happen is because who knows, she says we never know what we're going to find when we dig into a tooth. And in this particular case, she said, I don't know what's going to happen once we get rid of the filling. And she said all the decay was around the margins of the tooth and not down by the nerve. So she was able to fill it, no root canal. $69 later, I'm out the door. 69 bucks. Wait a minute. 69 bucks and about an hour and 10 minutes of having my mouth open.
How much does the insurance pay of the total bill? Because 69 was your portion.
Add 3 times more to that, and that's probably what they pay. I paid about 25%.
That's cheap.
Alex.
Yeah.
As I get older, now I can't keep my mouth open that long anymore. I have dry mouth.
Are you kidding? You do them on the show for 2 hours.
When I was younger, I used to be able to keep my mouth open, but now I have to keep, they get mad at me because they squirt water in there for me and stuff because, like you said, if they could give me gas and I'd be out, I probably would be okay.
Yeah, they don't like to give gas.
Like
they don't like to give gas anymore, and that was the only reason I ever went to a dentist in the first fucking place. Was to get
money
high.
Maker now.
I can't tolerate that for 2-3 hours having your mouth open like that.
Well, anyway, I had my mouth open like that, and she even had a wedge she put in my mouth so I could just rest it. But still, she was in there digging around and doing all the work, and did about an hour and 10 minutes of work on this tooth. And afterwards, she's masterful. I told her yesterday when she was through that she's the best dentist I've ever had, and I'm 79 years old. And it's true. She's that good. And I said,
the last dentist you used to use leeches.
Yeah. What I said to her was, and this was in fact the truth, I said, you're an artist. And she really is. I mean, when you think about it, what's she involved in? She's involved in drilling and carpentry, but she's also involved in a kind of sculpture that you're doing to get this tooth back to looking like this one looked.
You're right. That's what it's like.
But the first picture you saw was the work of my old dentist, including a crack in the filling.
A fracture.
Yeah. And the after picture was, of course, what this woman did, and she's just wonderful. But man, my mouth is torn up today, because it was back there. It was right in the back, last tooth in the back, and that's a hard one to get to. But she did.
They got to use mirrors.
Huh?
They have to use mirrors to see it.
Well, she uses mirrors to look and see and make sure everything's fine. But she can pretty well see the tooth when she's drilling. But first, she had to get out that filling, which was massive, and then she had to do the decay. Getting rid of the decay, and then putting in this new filling. And this is a tooth because there's so much filling in there. There's very little structure left. But I think she did it in a way that this tooth will now last for quite a while. So I'm very happy with it. And here's what she does. She says, look. She says, you've got the insurance. You got $2,500 worth of insurance, here, you've got $1,000 left. We're going to do this tooth today. She said, next I want to do a tooth, and I don't know how this happened. She said it has a temporary crown on it. I said, what? She said, yeah, it has a temporary crown, and there's a little bit of decay under it. And I want to remove the crown, get rid of the decay, then put on another temporary crown, but fit you for a new crown, for a permanent crown, and that'll cost you about $700 because the crown will cost $1,400. And it's 50%. I go, okay. She says, the reason you should do it is you don't want to leave any money sitting on the table at the end of the year because it doesn't go over to the next year. She says, and then you'll come back January 2nd, and we'll start going on the another little cavity that I have, and we'll do the implant. So really, I mean, she's really good about that. She figures it all out financially so that you get the best bang for your buck. So that's why I'm having all this work done. I mean, I've had 4 fillings so far. You
got a dental accountant.
Huh?
You got a person who's a half dentist and a half accountant.
Half an accountant. No, she's got somebody there who's an accountant who figures out all this stuff. But she says, let's just get all this stuff done, and let's not leave any money of theirs on the table. And that's about what we're going to do. I may be $100 shy of tapping out, and we'll use that. We'll use that for my cleaning. Yeah.
I've got dental issues going on. I have 2 crowns, and then I've got a thing going on that I'm all messed up. My knee, all of a sudden, it went out like last week. Like, oh my God, I'm suffering so much with this knee. Like, I had to go to the Medi Express thing, because I didn't want to go to the emergency room with parking and everything. Mm-hmm. So they did the X-ray, and then they told me, well, you got to go to your primary care, and he's going to send you for an MRI. So I go to my primary care.
I'm taking my hat off.
He can't send me. Yeah, he can't send me. Yeah. So then he tells me, go to orthopedics. So I go to them, and then everyone's telling me I have bad insurance, change my insurance, that I've got to wait now for prior authorization. And I got to wait maybe 10 days now. And I can't, oh my God, it hurts. And I can't, I'm limping all over.
Where is it? Let me ask you, is it in your knee?
Yes, and they said it could be meniscus, but they don't know.
It's probably a torn meniscus. That's what I had.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah,
everybody that limps
I did physical therapy. I did physical therapy, and with time, I had to be very careful not to bend the knee or get into bed in a certain way that would bend it. And eventually, it's pretty well healed itself. They don't heal, but it's not hurting anymore. So you have
no gel, because people have told me they might shoot gel into my knee, and then they said that orthopedics said they might do surgery.
Well, Jello.
They do surgery if it's torn meniscus. You don't always do surgery. occasionally you do.
Do they do an MRI on you or?
No.
Yeah.
No.
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 They're gonna
It's one on me.
They can't do an
the
MRI
insurance
on
will
me because
pay.
I won't get in a fucking MRI machine. I have just toxic claustrophobia.
But the knee, they put you in the other way, and you're not in the machine.
You weren't in the machine, Charlie? Were you?
Yeah, I was in the machine, but I was like Phil said, I was in foot first, so my head was outside.
Your head was outside. Well, okay. Well, I just didn't need that. Okay, they did a.
Oh, thanks you guys and Dr. Bennett.
They did an X-ray. They did an X-ray on me, and they said you got a torn meniscus. What do? Go get a physical therapist.
Didn't the Beatles or Apple Records or something have something to do with the MRI or the CAT? It was a CAT scan. They owned the.
Not that I know.
No, yeah, I thought they had something to do with it.
But
or they invested in it.
I would rather be dead than do an MRI. So I got
It is claustrophobic.
What?
Don't they talk you through an MRI though? If they put you in like that, all the way in.
They'd have to put me. They would have to put me out. I have claustrophobia like you wouldn't believe. Okay.
I think if no one talked to me and I had to be in there like for a long time with no.
Well, it's also a very slow process. Am I right, Charlie? An MRI. It's like it takes
about 40 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. So they put you in this
tube. Can't move.
They gave me music one time. I had headphones on and got to listen to music. But the other time though, they because I had two back things. They didn't. So I had to sit there and make up songs in my head or whatever for 40
Hey, Charlie,
minutes.
what if you're listening to music, you tap your foot, and then you move, and they have to put you back in for another 40 minutes?
All over again.
You can't move during an MRI?
You cannot move.
No, they don't like you moving during an
What
They
is
didn't
it?
want you
I'm
breathing.
assuming it does the soft tissue, right? Like,
well, there are things that I've heard about called open MRIs. There are several of them in Manhattan. And those you don't get put into a tube. You sit in a place, and then the thing goes around you. Or
but
something.
those are a lot more expensive.
No, they're not. They're not that much more expensive. They're just and insurance will pay for them. I mean, if you can't go through a traditional MRI, I mean, the downside of an MRI is it's very claustrophobic, and if people have claustrophobia, they're not going to tolerate an MRI very well. So they have to go to these open MRIs. I might have to get a MRI on my prostate eventually or something.
Jeffrey Epstein's not going to get an MRI.
But you're going to make Jeffrey Epstein jokes today.
Practiced, right? And then he got it right with the what was it? The bed sheet.
Well, something. I have an interview. I'll probably play it tomorrow with Ronnie, or maybe the first of next week. That I did with Ronnie, and we talked about Epstein, and she thinks that there was some chicanery going on because she said, "How do you hang yourself in a cell?"
It was a double bunk bed.
No.
So
okay. So it's a double bunk bed. They're not that high. If you stand up, you're as high as the double bunk bed.
Yeah. Well, if he goes limp, then
it's very difficult to do that.
It seems as though they're trying to make a connection with him and Bill Gates. They're saying that Bill Gates talked to him a couple of times.
You know what it is? Anybody who ever talked to Jeffrey Epstein is suspect on some level. And the fact is that Jeffrey Epstein was a schmoozer. He talked to everybody. Okay? He was impressed by people in show business and people in politics, people who had power. And he schmoozed them all. And so just because he knew them doesn't mean they were raping little children,
Oh, yeah.
Look, Bobby Slayton knew Jeffrey Epstein.
That's guilt by association.
Bobby
right?
Slayton talked to Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
Now Bill Gates, Bobby Slayton.
Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein.
Trump.
So because he knew Jeffrey Epstein and he stayed at his place, he must have had sex with children.
Did he go to the island?
No.
Did he fly on the plane?
No, he didn't. He didn't do either of those things. He just was put up here in New York by him because he liked him. He thought he loved his comedy, and he thought he was a great comic, and he was a fan.
So he would rather stay with Jeffrey Epstein, the child molester, rather than go up to your place
Yeah.
a few blocks away.
Yeah. The worst I do is just jerk off, you know. I mean, so.
Yeah.
But no, Jeffrey Epstein was, you know, was a, you know, I mean, he knew him quite well. I mean, not well. Apparently, he didn't know him well enough because he didn't know this was going on, you know.
Yeah.
But I just found it, you know, I mean, the question is, was there something else going on there? I mean, whether it was they knew he was going to try and kill himself, so they let him, you know, I mean, whatever, you know, it
was a perfect storm. I guess they moved the warden to another prison. They suspended the guards that were supposed to check his cell, I think, every half hour and didn't.
Yeah.
They were sleeping.
Yeah. Well, that's what
Child
they're saying.
molesters always dying in jail,
that's,
not in prison.
That's what they're saying. Well, to begin with, you know, I mean, is Epstein a child molester? Yeah, I guess so. I guess.
Yeah. That's what he was convicted of.
Yeah, I just, you know, I mean, all I know is Slayton said that he saw him with women all the time, but they were always younger women, but they weren't children, you know.
Yeah.
So obviously that his exclusivity wasn't towards children. Let me put it that way.
I think they were like 16 and 17-year-olds. That's where they're getting them. Or 14.
Well, the 14 was this one who's been telling all the stories, Jufrey or whatever her name is.
Yeah.
She claims she was put on a date with Prince Andrew.
Wow.
You know.
Yeah, she's looking for a payday also.
Well, I don't know. No, it's easy for you to say she's looking for a payday. Maybe she's looking for some consolation. Maybe she's looking for some release from the pain that she has gone through. You know, Phil. I mean, that's a very sexist thing of you to say, that you just assume she's out for a payday.
Okay, well, you know, she got $300 on the table, but I guess that wasn't enough.
$300 on the table? What do you mean?
Yeah, for the massage, he would pay $300.
Yeah. Well, that's not very funny either, Phil.
It's not supposed to be. That's what she was.
This was child molestation.
Yeah, but
you're making a child molestation joke.
No, she knew what she was doing.
No,
and
she didn't
went
know.
Back and did it for a long time.
Phil.
Was not
that's
a
very
deal.
That's a very sexist attitude you're coming up with. It's shame on you, Phil.
No, because she knew what she was doing.
No, she didn't.
Went back
she was
on her
14.
own accord.
She was 14. How did she know what she was doing? Hey, and then after a while, you are so put upon by this person, you know, that you that you find it difficult to get away from it. Okay, but don't get into that, Phil, because what you're doing is it's a very sexist. She is a victim, Phil.
There are 14-year-olds that are married.
She is a victim.
There are 14-year-olds.
She is a victim,
women that have
Phil.
been married.
I won't hear from her.
Yeah, that's child abuse too.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I knew one that what is it when they are no longer awarded their parents? Emancipated. She was emancipated, 14-year-old, and she had been married, and
I don't care what you've heard, Phil. That's terrible.
I knew her.
It's child molestation. It is abuse, even if it's legal. Okay, Phil. And in some states in the South, yes, a 14-year-old can get married, and it's terrible. It is just horrible.
From Muscle Shoals, one I knew.
Yeah, so you ought to be ashamed of yourself, Phil, for even coming up with that, you know, that attitude. You know, there's Tony.
Tony's fault. It was Tony's fault.
It was Tony's fault. Yeah, no, I mean, let's be honest, Phil. I mean, you know, it's really terrible what happened to these women, and to say that, oh, well, they just put up with it. I mean, what do you think, Charlene? You're a woman. You probably agree with me with what I'm saying, right?
I agree with you, Alex. Yes.
Yeah,
but that's like saying, you know, some woman had a really, really short skirt on, so she was looking to get raped, you know.
When you were 14, Charlene, were you active?
What do you mean, like sexually active?
Yes.
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
When I was in college,
Yeah.
they called me the Virgin Mary.
Okay.
They were making fun of me because I was a Catholic schoolgirl, and then I did lose my virginity in college, but they had lost it, before I guess before they got to college.
So a lot of your girlfriends,
that's because you're the Virgin Mary.
a lot of your girlfriends, did they lose their virginity early?
Well, I guess they lost it say like in senior year of high school or something, or
Yeah.
junior year in high school. But
Yeah.
I was like a freshman in college, and I, was still.
You didn't know anybody that was a little promiscuous at 14?
No, that was really young, Phil.
Somebody
Yeah.
somebody in our chat room just now said Phil lacks moral fiber.
I had
does.
some fiber tonight,
Yeah.
and I mixed it with cashew milk.
Yeah, some raisin bran, yeah.
Just this attitude that, she knew what she was doing. She was 14. She didn't know what she was doing.
She
That's
didn't
young,
know that
man.
she'd
Very
taken
young.
$300 to give a happy ending. Come on.
Okay, Phil. So she's the fault, right?
Just because legally she's 14 and legally she can't, be responsible for actions.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask
that
you.
she fell off the turnip truck.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this: the women who would give Roger Ailes blowjobs because they didn't want to lose their job, I guess they knew what they were doing, right, Phil?
Yes,
and that
they
was
did.
all right. That was all right.
I didn't say it was all right, but they knew what they were doing. They had a choice, and they chose to get down on their knees.
They chose not
Yeah,
to. They chose to keep eating and being able to put food on the table, Phil.
Hey, if they would have said,
you don't
"I'm
believe
being
you don't
sexually
believe that
harassed,"
you don't believe that he was using his position of power as a way of intimidating women into having sex with him.
absolutely. he
Then
was.
what is that right? Is that right?
No, but
And
it
in
takes two
spite
to
of the
tango.
fact that, as you put it, they so-called knew what they were doing.
Yeah. They made a decision. They looked at Roger Ailes and they said, "Look at that fat pig. I think I'll go to bed with him so I can have my job." And they made a conscious decision. They
Not
didn't
that
have to get down on their knees
not
with
that
this
I
guy.
can have my job. I want to keep my job.
Many of them just wanted to get a job, and they were looking to sleep their way up in their business.
You know, why is it you are so fucking sexist, Phil? This is amazing how sexist
I am
you are.
a realist.
You're not a
this
realist
is
about
the reality.
anything. Phil, you're not a
No,
realist about
you just
shit.
want to make everybody a victim.
You're not a realist about shit, Phil.
some of them
After
have to
79 years old,
1920 or
you
something.
didn't see this coming. You didn't see the train all these years. What was going on? You didn't know about the casting couch, and you didn't realize that
Phil,
they were only
just
there
because the
because they
casting couch existed all those years doesn't mean it was right.
Are you trying to make these people?
No,
it takes
I'm
two
saying
to
that
tango.
any man who would do that in order to get laid is a terrible, vile human being.
That's
and the
true.
women
And
who were
he
put
was.
upon, the women who were put upon were not women who knew what they were doing, but were
That's bullshit. Come on, you're not that naive.
Phil. I'm not that naive, not at all.
Well, then you should know.
But I
that
know,
it-
I know right from wrong, and I know,
I didn't say it was right.
I know victims from predators.
I didn't say it was right, but
And
these
these women were victims because they were put upon by a predator.
Oh no, the ones on that show To Catch a Predator, they're victims, and they're not really victims because they're cops. But trying to catch the guy. But these people,
Phil, I'm
nothing different than a hooker.
I'm very disappointed. I'm just
you give a hooker.
Okay, time to be quiet, Phil.
All right.
Yeah,
Let some other
be
people
quiet,
speak.
Phil,
What do you
please.
What do you think, Charlie?
Well, people like Phil is why I'm a feminist. Because people that think like that just
I don't understand it. I'm very ashamed of Phil, to be honest with you.
That's
Tony,
terrible.
what do
You
you think?
can't pass the 14-year-old test.
Wait a minute.
Please.
Hold on a second. Let me. Jeff was talking. Let me go to him first, Tony, and then I want to get your opinion. Yes, Jeff.
You can't pass the 14-year-old test, no matter who the hell you are. It's inappropriate.
And if you're a immature 18, or then all of a sudden you're that's the line.
I think if a person is
using, the man
I think
is any more mature.
I think if someone uses his position of power to arm a woman into having sex with him, okay, it's not a voluntary action. It's one in which they feel that they have to do it. Otherwise, they may lose their job, or any number of things could happen to them. Then I think at any age, even 25 or 30 or 50 is wrong.
Yeah.
And if you don't see that, Phil, you don't have any moral fiber.
No, I obviously I don't, because I see
daughters?
people that I have daughters, and they wouldn't get down on their knees to advance their careers. And one of them is in show business, and I know that she does it through hard work and perseverance.
Mm-hmm. Do you know that do you know whether she hasn't been put in that position?
I don't know that.
Okay.
But even if she was put in that position,
if you found out that she was put in that,
she's not the kind of person that would make the decision.
Phil, number one, you don't know that, because if she had done it, she wouldn't tell you. Okay, that's for starters. That's for starters. And
except
secondly,
the jobs that she's gotten haven't been that good.
If you found that it had happened, what would you want to do to the guy who did it?
If she was of age and she made that decision, it takes two. She wouldn't have been a victim.
Phil.
Now,
Would you disown your daughter if you found out that she had done something like that?
no. Why would I?
I don't know, because of the way you're talking. I just wondered.
No, I'm not making any aspersions on whether I would disown or not. If I knew something like that was going on, I'd counsel her and tell her that it's not going to go anywhere. If you look at these things, the person that gives the favors usually doesn't.
To a guy that would do something like that to your daughter,
Well, no. I think my daughter is smart enough that she can make her own decisions.
So your daughter's to blame in that situation, that she should have.
I didn't. I'm not
better.
saying it's a blame. It's not blame. People make decisions, and if you make a bad one, you can't make the other guy the bad guy. Everybody has a choice.
We've been joined by Patrick. I'm just saying, Phil. American Patriot, who's one of the people is on our chat room, says, and this is a good question: where are the parents? Forget about the child. She doesn't know right from wrong. Absent parents giving her guidance, she doesn't know. This is just an older figure who is now seducing her. Okay, but at that age, she really doesn't know what's going on, for crying out loud. And where are the parents? The parents probably went along with it because Epstein was worth a fortune. Yeah.
Like Michael Jackson.
And by the way, while they're going after everybody that was culpable, go check in on the parents and arrest them too. That would do some good. But anyway, we've been joined by Patrick. But first, let me go to Tony. Tony?
I tell you the truth, I would feel bad for the girl. 14, this guy is worth how much money? Alex, say if you were in a position like you were a producer or something, Of course, you'd maybe want to help somebody, give them a job, but to even think like I got to seduce somebody because I have power, that's a sickness, really. I can see trying to help people get a job, give them a break, but I can never see going over the line where you got to make it personal, Phil. That's a predator, really. He should be.
Who made it personal?
Let me tell you something.
It's not what's personal.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell
that's
you.
a predator.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. I always had a rule, and this is long before the Me Too stuff, and long before even the women's movement in this country. I always had a rule that I would never have sex or try to have a relationship or hit on any woman who I worked with. Okay, and that was a personal feeling because I felt if I had a good relationship with somebody and they were doing a great job for me, that would come between us if I even tried that, you know.
You know what that's called?
What?
Don't dip your pen in the company ink.
Yeah, well, good for you and your little funny little sayings, you know. But this isn't.
Well,
funny.
hey, that's my saying. It's been around for millennium.
That wasn't my reasoning for it. My reasoning for it was I got to tell you, I had a woman who, Christy, was my producer in San Francisco. This was maybe one of the most gorgeous women you've ever seen. She still is gorgeous. I never, ever tried to come on to her. I mean, if I had her in the studio right now, she would say, "No, you never did." And people always went, "Did you ever try to with her?" And I go, "No, absolutely not. I wouldn't think of it because she is a good producer. I enjoy her. I enjoy working with her, and I don't want to destroy that relationship." You know, I found that would be unconscionable. The only people that I would come on to were people who I met, you know, in my course of my day that had nothing to do with my job.
Groupies.
Groupies? Hey, if it weren't for groupies, I never would have gotten laid, you know. But, you know.
And 14 is such a young age, Alex. I mean, think about when you were 14, like a kid. I mean, that's really young.
It's very young.
Very young.
Mentally, yeah.
You know, I mean.
Now, you didn't make out when you were 14. You didn't, but
he's a
didn't. Actually,
trying to get to first base.
Actually, I didn't. I wasn't very good at that. I think it wasn't until I was 18. I was 19 when I first had sex. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think they murdered him anyway, Alex. How the hell does he hang himself in jail? I couldn't believe this.
Well, it isn't a question of murder. It's just a question of how did he manage to do it, you know.
With a bed sheet.
Where's the police guard sleeping?
Yeah.
They were apparently.
Yeah.
The story's getting bigger and bigger, and they think we're going to believe this. Alex, I can't believe this, but I really think Trump might be right. I think he got killed. No, this is the one time I'll agree with Trump.
Well, no, you can't agree with Trump because Trump is saying that the Clintons had him killed.
Yeah, Clintons. I couldn't believe it. I said, this guy's nuts. My mother's like, did he just say what I thought he said? Bill Clinton killed him? I says, Mom, the man's a madman. You can't even hear what he's saying.
Hillary did. You know, Clinton, have you heard the conspiracy? There's 53 people
Phil, I'm trying to talk.
That were close to the Clintons that are either dead from suicide
I'm trying to talk, Phil. Accidents. Phil, I'm trying to talk. Okay?
Well, I'll move you from a little circle to a square.
What? Oh, I'm not even a square?
No.
Is that how little you think of my place in this program?
I'm going to call in. Maybe just block everybody.
It just was the normal, progression of squares and circles.
Anyway, I mean, the point in fact is that I never, I can't say that I ever had a relationship, ever. I had one producer who wanted to have a relationship with me. Literally came on to me, and I turned her down.
Is that the one that was the transvestite?
No. What transvestite?
You had one that I didn't know them. It was somebody from New York, I think, that John Rockwell also knew.
What?
And you talked to him, and he was no longer a guy; he was a girl, and got pissed at you for not recognizing.
Oh, that was my producer. Yeah, that was what's his name? I can't remember his name now. But he was, huh? He was
That must have been
he was my
music, sir.
producer at WMCA. He wasn't so much my producer. What I found out about him was he was running a pirate radio station.
Right.
And I figured I wanted to support his pirate radio station, so I hired him as my producer, which then was just answering phones and you know.
That's what I did.
Didn't book guests or anything. Ronnie did that. But I you know, I kind of like the fact that every week ABC was cutting him a check, which he would then take and go use to do his pirate radio station. I thought that was just desserts. Anyway,
now did he was he a transvestite
well, no, he became a sex change, I believe.
Sex change? Okay,
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if it was a sex change or whether it was cross dressing, but it was one of those, and he lived the rest of his life as a woman. He was just mad at me because I kept referring to him as him, because I always knew him as a guy, I didn't know him as a woman. And I said, please forgive me, because if you were here and I got to see you like this, I would then probably call you she. But all I remember, my only mental image that I have of you is of a guy. But she died a few years back, so that's the end of that story. No, I had a producer in San Francisco who came on to me. In fact, got very mad at me because I wouldn't have anything to do with her that way, because I just didn't believe in it. It's not, you don't do that, not with people you work with. And hello, Patrick. What do you think about all of this? Do you think that these girls knew what they were doing?
Yeah, I would say no. I mean, depending on the ages of some of them, but I think last week I was yapping about everybody's responsible for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
However, when it comes to minors, the adult is always the one, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a billionaire, whether it's whomever, the adult is always the one who needs to set the boundaries and the rules. And, you've got the teachers having sex with kids. The kids are going to be, I probably would have went for it with a couple of my teachers, but that's not how things go. And it's the same with Epstein, with these girls. Maybe some of the girls knew what they were doing, and I'm gonna get some. This is fun, but morally it's wrong. And as the adult, you have to be the adult and make the rule, whether or not you like it or not. That's tough shit.
Phil, do you ever? Phil, listen to me. Do you ever read our chat that's going on?
No.
Oh, well, can I read you a couple of comments?
Sure.
Phil makes this show unwatchable. He is mind-numbingly stupid. How is he any different than Doug, says somebody else. Mike Allen says anyone that hurt a 14-year-old girl should be shot. Matt Crash says, I'm glad you're not dead, Mike. Megan Belknap says, mute him. Mike Allen says, let's see here. There's some more here. Phil is full of it. Alex, would you please mute him? So.
Well, I guess you got some listeners.
Yeah. But do you realize what you're sounding like to them, Phil?
Yeah, because they're morons. But,
Oh, they're morons?
Yeah.
Oh, everybody in our chat room,
other chats
chat room are morons.
Yeah.
Because they think you're full of it?
They always think I'm full of it. It wouldn't matter what topic we were talking about. They would have the same comments. Matter of fact, they have a deal where they just press a button and it puts that comment out, and regardless of the topic.
No, they're usually nice about things.
No, they're not.
You said you don't read them, so how do you know?
Well, no, I've read them in the past, but you asked me if I was reading it tonight, and the answer was no. I'm charging my phone, so, and
yeah. Well, calm down a little bit, Phil.
All right. Well, prior to being 18, I knew girls in high school, and some of them were supposedly active. I mean, they weren't active with me, but they were active.
What age were you active?
18.
18.
Yeah. Well, that's when I got lucky. I was trying long before that.
Well, everybody
No,
tries.
my girlfriend the first woman I had
some
sex
people
with,
succeed.
the first woman I had sex with was 17, and I was 18. So technically, that was statutory rape in California at the time.
Yeah,
in
my
fact,
son went through
it's
something
very
like that.
strange. It was statutory rape if you were a guy and you were 15 and you had sex with a girl who was 16. That was statutory rape. The guy was
Not
always
by the girl?
Huh?
Not
No,
by the girl.
Not by the girl. No.
Right. That's sexist.
Yeah, you bet your life it is. On a couple of occasions, I have had sex with women who were underage. In both cases, because they lied to me.
Right.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that I couldn't have wound up going to jail. All right, but as soon as I found out that they were lying to me, that was it. All bets were off. I just had one. I knew one that was very, very young. It turned out to be quite young and looked like she was was early 20s.
Yeah.
And never told me how old she was.
The one that's suing Epstein, she's beautiful.
Yeah, but there was a difference between what happened.
She definitely looked mature.
Yeah. There was nothing predatory about what I was doing. I was simply responding to women who were coming on to me and whatever, and assuming that they were of proper age. When I would ask them, "Are you old enough to be doing that?" If I was suspicious, they would say, "Of course I am," but they weren't. Now the question is, how guilty am I in that situation? Do I have to ask for identification? And then they'll show me
the cuffs.
Right.
They'll show me the IDs that.
Driver's license.
They show me the ID they use to get drinks in bars. So I mean, how far
Oh,
do
that
you
could
need?
be phony.
But
back in
I
the
think there's a
day-
difference between being duped by a woman to have sex with him who's underage, and it's a different story when you're a predator and you're looking for those women, and you're looking for women who are underage.
I moved to California when I was 19, but when I was 18 in New York, you could drink, and you could go to a bar, and you had to be 21 in California.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was the same thing with Florida.
Yeah.
And but the women in New York at 18 were women.
Hold on a second. Somebody's just called us who is on a phone and not video, so we don't know who they are. Who is this? Are you
I
there?
just want to say shout out to the person who gave me the shout out. Now you can hang up on me, Alex.
Oh, that's Doug.
That's Doug. Well, why should I hang up on you, Doug? Outside of the fact that you're,
You usually do.
Well,
I hope you're doing okay. Hope all's well with you and all that. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Doug. Okay, because you don't have you don't have video, so I really don't want to put you on. Okay.
that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Thanks,
Anyway.
Doug. Call back sometime when
Take
you have
care.
video.
Have a good one.
Okay. Well, sometimes when I get too
Bye-bye.
many people and we put them up there.
It's nice that Doug is listening.
Well, hold on a second, folks. You're going to see some Skype screens there. Where, how do I get rid of them? How do I?
Well,
get
I
rid
just happened to start listening to it. and I
Okay,
heard your
hey,
reading
Doug,
the-
will you please hang up, because I can't figure out how to hang up on you. Okay, Doug. Bye-bye.
Oh, I just might aggravate you a little bit more.
Look, Doug,
No,
Doug,
hang on.
I will.
Take care. I'll take care.
I'll
Have a
put
good
you
one.
on a
Bye-bye.
block, and then you won't ever be able to call. Okay? Jeez almighty. God. He is so obnoxious. Anyway.
I think his life has been improving, and I don't think he's drinking the way he was, and he.
That's fine. You put him on your show. Anyway.
Thanks.
You know,
I thought I just did.
all this brings up the inevitable question here about, for instance, these female teachers in Florida several years ago. They almost seem to be a pack of them who were seducing their students. What do you think of that? Where it was females, older females seducing guys, and the fact that everybody would make jokes about it. Well, you know, they're just guys. They got laid. Hey, you know, they were lucky. They had a good. You know, some of these women look gorgeous. I mean, some of these women were hot. Okay.
Did they ever think that these kids would talk? You know, that a guy wouldn't say, "Hey, you know, I banged Mrs. Blah blah blah." You know.
Well, of course they would talk. In fact, I said, well, what was the danger to these guys? And I said, there's a large danger to these guys from getting their hand to hurt from all the high fives they were doing, you know. Yes, Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, just like Phil said, I would say that the female teachers, and I mean male teachers as well, are morons. Because kids are going to talk, and especially the guys to other guys in a more public setting. Whereas my understanding with girls, and maybe I'm wrong, but they tend to speak just in their little circles in their bedroom. Hey, you know, I kissed so and so. But guys, like you said, Alex, they're going to high five out on the fucking football field. And everybody's going to know that Mrs. So-and-so slept with me.
Okay, you know? But you want to know what I think is the reason why there's a tendency here to, for this to be different where guys are concerned? Because there's an element we're not talking about here, and that's penetration. Penetration seems to be a little more of an officious act than penetration. You know, does that make sense what I'm saying? Yes, Charlene.
Yeah, I've heard you bring this up before, Alex, because, you know, I was going to say that too, because, like, the guys, like, even though they're underage and everything, they really don't care. You know, like, you know, to them it was like, you know, okay. But, you know, it's weird that these women are in the position of being a teacher, but you know what you're saying is that, you know, a female gets penetrated, and so therefore it means more to her, like the act of being penetrated, like, or something, right? So it's more. But I mean, this woman is older, and she's teaching these boys, and I mean, it really isn't right that she's sort of taking advantage of the student, although because they're male. See, that's weird too, because you know it's a sex thing that because they're male, you know, you shouldn't care as much because they're underage that they're male. You know what I mean? Am I not saying it right? Or do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
but
you know,
but somehow it didn't seem as horrible.
Because
they're guys, and yet if you think about it, I mean, it's really in the same wheelhouse. I mean, these women were having sex basically with children. You know?
Right.
Anybody have a comment?
Using their position.
Yeah.
How old were the boys?
The boys were like 15, 16,
yeah.
And the women were like 35, 40. You know, and one of them was really hot. I mean, I was saying to myself, how lucky was that guy to have as his first sex partner this hot chick, you know? But that's a guy looking at the situation. You know, and,
what about the one that had 3 kids with the guy and
that
got out of jail?
That's
Turno.
They're still
wait
a minute, and they're still together, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Billy Falau and Marion Letourneau.
Yeah, she wouldn't stop seeing him. They would arrest her every time she would see him. They loved each other. They really, really loved each other.
And in his country, there was nothing wrong with what they were doing. Like, they didn't consider it something. Yeah. In his country, it was normal.
But still, is having sex? Let's say we had the female version of Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, we had the female version of Jeffrey Epstein. Would it be all right what she would be doing over what Epstein was doing? in this society? Would it make the news like it did? Would they look to arrest him or her like they arrested him? You know? What do you think, Charlene?
Oh, Charlie, go ahead.
Yeah, Charlie. Charlie? Did you?
Well, my opinion is that it would be wrong, but I think you're correct in that society wouldn't treat it as bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we do we, is that a double standard that we're dealing with here?
Yeah.
You think? Yeah. Yeah. So
I think we are.
Yeah, so it's pretty.
Patrick has his hand up.
Yes, Patrick.
I think that a woman who did that would get raked over the coals by other women, like on you and things like that. But men, like on any of the news shows, they would state that it's wrong, but you guys are right. It would not rise to the level that it would with a male. But I do believe that women would rake somebody over the coals for doing that. But, you know, even if she got arrested and was convicted, I bet it would be enough.
Yeah. Well, here's the question is, and we have to ask this question on a rather continual basis here, is if the woman were doing exactly what Jeffrey Epstein was doing, recruiting guys and so on and so forth, would we put as much emphasis on it being terrible as we do on this particular situation?
Well, that's a good question. You know what I think, Alex? Would it be as big a story if he wasn't a billionaire?
Well, I think the money has something to do with it. There's
something. This guy, like they said that he had so much, and this is what the news was saying. It's almost like they're saying he might have had so much information on people, or he's involved with people. You could just throw a dog who might want this guy killed, who might not want him to talk or reach trial.
Well, that could be, but I think I know there's a good reason to be suspicious in this whole thing. There's also a good reason to assume that the guy somehow managed to commit suicide. I mean, that's always a distinct possibility. I don't know about you, but if I were Jeffrey Epstein and I was looking at never seeing the outside of a jail cell again in my life and having to live behind bars for the rest of my life after knowing a certain kind of privileged freedom that I had had for all those years, I don't know that I wouldn't kill myself as well. What's the positive value of staying in jail? Yes, Charlene.
I heard some guy on some radio show was talking about that in that facility that Epstein was in, you get like a bologna sandwich with a packet of mustard every day and like maybe a cup of Kool-Aid or something. Like horrible food, and it was just a horrible place. This guy had been in there, and he said it was just a horrible place to be incarcerated.
What gets me? What's interesting is that you treat somebody that way. They stick them in a jail cell and they clap them in irons. And they give him a bologna sandwich for lunch, and he isn't guilty of anything. He's just been accused.
Right.
And the question is, do we treat people who are accused this way? Is that right?
I've heard they're going to change the conditions, too. I read in the newspaper or something, that they're going to change the conditions there now, like after this.
Bobby Slayton sent me a picture of the Three Stooges in police outfits, and the caption on it was something like, "Okay, which one of you guys didn't check on Epstein?" I know it brings about a lot of suspicion,
It does.
But for the President of the United States to exacerbate it by sending out retweeting tweets about the Clintons trying to kill Jeffrey Epstein is just, he's really gotten to a point of tastelessness that is unreproachable.
I know.
He's like the guy in the corner yelling conspiracy theory. He's our president. It's like one of those nuts from the post office.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like,
even Scaramucci.
They have these guys there that believe in the conspiracy with the numbers.
Scaramucci yesterday and today came out on CNN saying that Trump is melting down, that he's making racist statements, and I guess Well, Scaramucci has a lot of credibility.
Well, actually, he does. It's strange about Scaramucci. In recent years, even though up until recently he's been pro-Trump, okay, Scaramucci has been on all the major talk shows and is considered a major commentator on things politic. And I guess because he is kind of entertaining in his own way.
I think they think that there's he sees a weakness in their armor, and he thinks that Chris Cuomo will get fired, and maybe he'll get his spot.
Chris Cuomo ain't getting fired for that, okay?
He went nuts. He wanted to throw a guy down
because the guy was calling him Alfredo, which
that's terrible. That's the N-word in Italian.
Yeah, well, there you go, being unsensitive again. Among Italians, being Alfredo is a bad, nasty term.
Why? Fredo was a character in The Godfather.
It was a term.
He was the ne'er-do-well younger brother.
I think it is a term that's been used before that.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, but it's a negative term.
Tony's Italian.
But in any event, it's a negative term, and Cuomo took him to task for it, as well he should have. If the guy had come up and called me,
he's going to throw him down the stairs.
If he had called me, if somebody called me a kike, they would have had the same problem.
You would have thrown him down the stairs for somebody saying a word?
Did Cuomo throw him down the stairs?
He threatened him.
No, he threatened to. He didn't throw him down the stairs.
Well, if it got a little more physical.
I think he was upset by it, and he wanted to tell the guy to back off because the guy was he was spoiling for a fight.
It sounded to me like Cuomo was...
did you see it? He was provoking him. He was provoking Cuomo on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't Cuomo have the right to stand up for himself?
No, not in New York. Those cops couldn't stand up for themselves. They got
first of all, Cuomo wasn't on the air when this was going on. Somebody was videotaping it with a camera, okay, and it wasn't for the record.
No, Scaramucci wants his job.
No, how do you know he wants his job? Has he said that?
No.
All right, then shut up, Phil.
He says Alex isn't going to go for it, so I might as well go.
The mooch.
Announce Trump. 2 weeks ago, he loved Trump. Now all of a sudden, Trump's a bad guy.
Because I think he finally has figured that it's just he's gone off the deep end, which he has.
Yeah, he's just come to that conclusion. All right.
I'm saying that I'm sure he was sticking with him as long as he felt he could, but it's getting to a point where he just can't defend that kind of behavior.
Look what I got for you, Alex.
What?
For your underage participation.
He got handcuffs. Book him, get him against the wall.
What, they did away with the chain between the cuffs?
No, this is the heavy duty one with the bicycle link between the two. You get some of these guys that you have to arrest, and they're like 6'10", 700 pounds, and they look at those ones with the chain and they break them in half.
Well, I think the handcuff is yes, Patrick.
How what Chris Cuomo did, which I agree he should have gotten back in the guy's face, how is that any different than some of these people in public getting in the face of our representatives or members of the White House when it was Sarah Sanders and they're talking shit? If Sarah Sanders would have went off on the people talking shit to her, I can imagine the bullshit that would have been even on this panel saying that she should have never said anything that was wrong. And, hey, if somebody's talking shit to you, regardless of who you are, you should have right to defend yourself.
Talking shit, and Sarah Sanders walked away. She just got up and she left. She paid her bill and she left. That's the way you handle that.
Right, but here's the thing. I didn't mind that Cuomo got back at the guy. What I have a problem with is him whining that it was some slur. I mean, everything's a fucking slur nowadays.
Yeah.
How about he just got in my face and I told him to get the fuck out of my face?
Patrick, your name starts with a P. I think that's a slur.
Right, exactly. And you know what? He's a Fredo. For the rest of the fucking Fredo. So,
I don't see how being called a Fredo is something you're going to threaten to throw somebody down the stairs.
It's definitely
look at the shit that they call me on the chat. I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to give them the time of day.
Yeah, because they might say something that's important to you. Let me read you what Candace Higgins just wrote me. And Candace writes me a lot, and she wrote, "Thank you for going for Phil's jugular. I didn't realize, until tonight's show how morally compromised he is. Everything that went wrong in the facility leads one to question how so many failures can occur with their primary occupant over the course of 2 weeks. The youngsters who were brought into the setup were kids who were virtually on their own. Parents had kicked them out, etc. The promise of a few $100 to give a massage must have sounded like paradise. I hate all this for the now women who won't see the very sick Epstein squirm in a courtroom. Glad you're back." I think that's
That's true. I wish he would have lived. I wanted to see what would have happened.
Well, of course, we all would have liked to have seen him live and squirm and so on. But on the other hand, when I heard he was dead, I didn't sit around and mourn his death like some people are doing, because we can't get him now. Well,
didn't he give up a bunch of information on people that he was implicating? And the day before, he was supposed to give up information. Now all of a sudden he winds up dead.
No.
Maybe he was going to. He was probably going to sell everybody down the river.
There was no reason for him to, because no matter how much information he gave them, they wouldn't go any lighter on him. They couldn't.
No.
In the court of public opinion. So there was no benefit to him turning people in. All right?
Except to fuck them up.
Now, you might find that a lot of other people's lives might be in danger, like this woman in England who knows a lot about this and probably would be willing to give it up for immunity. All right? So if I were the government, I'd be out protecting her right now.
When she was younger, she gave it up to Epstein.
We're not making jokes here, Phil. I'm sorry. The fact is that she probably could give up a lot of information about people. Now, anybody that had anything to do with Epstein is suddenly suspect. The latest is Prince Andrew, although this woman, I can't remember her name now, though it starts with a G.
Griselle,
Juicy, or something like that. But anyway, she said that she was set up with Prince Andrew, and
she was English, right? And she
no,
was,
she I don't think, no, she wasn't English. I think.
That was the young girl.
The young girl, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And
who was the
of course, Prince
socialite?
Andrew is denying it. What?
The socialite from England that was his.
I can't remember her name, but she's the woman who supposedly was setting up all these women with other guys and things like that.
And she was the one that.
And she's the one that I would, if I were the police, I'd put her in protective custody or in some kind of custody where nobody could get at her, because I don't think her life's worth a plug nickel right now, because Jeffrey Epstein was setting up these girls with very connected people. All right.
Oh, it's
And
like Heidi Slice.
very connected people. And I think that they would not want their names to be made known
No.
at this point.
I was under the understanding that Epstein was either making their names known or was going to make their names known.
Well, not that I heard of. And how would it benefit him? Would they go lighter on him? I don't think so. Yes, Charlene.
Is this the end of it now? Like, are these people safe? These famous people? Like, since he, this
Well,
will end
I
it?
mean,
Like,
unless this woman in England who probably knows all the names
she can
wants to
still
cut a
talk.
deal
Right.
for herself and names names. That would be
But Alex,
huh?
they went lighter on Epstein in the Florida prosecution.
Yes.
And maybe it was because they wanted him to keep his mouth shut. And
Look, we're putting a lot of science fiction into this. We don't know what went on. We don't know that somehow he was just talented enough that he could hang himself from a low-lying bunk bed. We don't know that. We know that there were sheets and things in that room so that he could have strangled himself. Yeah, but
the no camera and all the things he was taken off suicide watch.
The questions that need to be asked is, why was he taken off suicide watch? If in fact he had tried to commit suicide once, you don't take a guy off suicide watch. Well, he hasn't tried in 2 weeks. It seems like he's no risk.
They said the protocol was 2 weeks. I was listening to something that they were talking about that some cop from New York was saying that the protocol for a suicide watch is 2 weeks and then you take them off.
Well, that may be the protocol with the police, New York Police Department, but this wasn't the New York Police.
Well, yeah, this was the MMU or something like that. Whatever that facility was that he was in.
He was in a federal facility, and it's run by the Justice Department. So thanks, Bill Barr, for doing your job.
Oh, so okay. Well, he saved everybody a lot of money on the prosecution.
I see. Okay.
Thank
way
you,
of looking
Phil.
at it. But let's change topic here, because this upsets me, Phil, that you can be so morally bereft that you can come up with the attitude that you did tonight about women. Anyway, we have. I think we're running into financial problems in this country. I know, Phil. It's only just a couple of bad days. No, it's a bad year.
It was that inverted thing where the bond, the 10-year yield was lower than the 2-year yield.
Forget about that.
And that was an indication that in a couple of years there may be a recession.
No, not in a couple of years.
It's happened 7 times.
Very soon. There's going to be a recession.
They said 2 to 3 years.
Anyway, they're very worried about a recession. If a recession comes, that means that a lot of people are going to wind up out of work because people won't be able to afford to hire people. And then all these little braggadocio things that Trump is doing about the economy, he's not going to be able to make when he runs for president because everybody's going to say, fuck you,
What if he wins his war with China?
He's not going to win it. He's not going to win it. They're going to wait him out. They said that they're not willing to make any kind of deal now at this point, because of the way they've been treated. They're not willing to make any kind of a deal now until the next election is over with.
Well, they got their hands full right now with Hong Kong.
Well, they got their hands full in Hong Kong. They don't have their hands full in China.
You know that their economy is the lowest it's been since 1992 in China. Well, and the recession, they're saying, is due to what's happening in the rest of the world, not the United States.
The fact is that China is still a country that does very well. It will continue to do very well. And in many ways is still doing better than the United States is. We have farmers in this country now who are starving, who are finally getting some money for their problems, but they're sitting there with soybeans that are rotting. Okay? That's your president and his great negotiating power.
Well, I did my part today. I had tofu and eggplant. Mm-hmm. At a vegetarian restaurant.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm doing my part for the
fact is that
farmers.
You've got a guy here who knows nothing about business, trying to act like he knows about business, and that, hey, you know something? Do you remember this statement? trade wars are good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they are. For who?
Well, it's about time somebody stood up to China and their bad way.
Yeah, it's about time somebody stood up to China. Unfortunately, it isn't Trump, because just yesterday he started caving.
No, he didn't.
Yes,
he just
did.
Didn't want to ruin our Christmas.
Oh, I see. So
I thought tariffs were good. Why would they ruin our Christmas?
Well, the tariffs are good, but the timing of them is also important.
Oh, I see. But no, this is a guy who never sticks to his guns. He just caves on everything.
There's plenty of tariffs out there right now.
He caves on everything, Phil, and this was only one of the things he was caving on. The fact is the Chinese know that he's not serious about this, and, it doesn't mean that they have to go ahead and, they can't, hold on a second. I've got Ray Renati calling here. Let me get him in the number 7 position.
From the gym.
Let me see
Hello.
here.
I'll turn off my sound so you don't have to hear the noise.
Okay.
Reporting from the gym.
From the gym, just so you know.
Where's,
look at him. You can't see me very well.
Oh, there's Goombad 61. The more names I get here, the harder it is for me to suddenly decide what the...
Can you rename those names?
There we go. Okay.
I can't. I tried to change
the name. No, not Ray, not you. Oh. Alex, can he rename
No,
them?
I can't rename them. I just have gotten to know them now. It's just that,
top of my head there.
Yeah.
It's the way you sign up, that Skype makes you come up with one of these kinds of things.
You can change your name on there.
Yeah, well, there's only a couple of Alex Bennett's, but there's
you can
tons
change
of Phil
your
Myers.
name that is on there when people call. You can go right in. You go up to your preferences, and in your preferences, you will be able to change your name. You can change it in an instant, right, Patrick? Because Patrick knows that because he's done it from time to time, right,
name.
Patrick?
I couldn't change my Skype name.
I can't change it.
I could only change my nickname.
Yeah, you change the nickname, and that's the name that comes
Where's
up.
the nickname?
Oh, no, I put my name as a nickname.
Yeah.
I thought.
Your account. Manage your payments and subscriptions.
I'll try it again later.
How you are seen on Skype, your profile.
Yeah, how you're seen on Skype. You can change your name.
Okay.
Well,
cool.
I don't know. I went to that.
I'll try that.
Yeah. Well, don't do it now, Phil. We're doing a show.
Is the sound annoying here?
No, it's not annoying, but we can only see the very top of your head.
I know. I'm trying to hear. Sorry.
Don't they get mad when you do that at the gym?
One guy does, but if he's not around, no one cares. Oh yeah, the lady next to him is getting mad. But
she's getting mad at you. Well, you could be talking to your wife, couldn't you?
They I don't know. People are weird. What if they talk to each other? I don't understand.
Yeah, people are weird.
Makes no sense.
Yeah.
No, I can't do anything.
Look, Phil, do that later, not now.
All right.
Okay. Anyway, what do you think, Ray, about the economy and about this bad patch we're having?
Well, I heard that there are all kinds of indicators that we're going to have a recession within the next year or so.
2 to 3.
Yeah, 2 to well at the outset. I mean, that's sometimes it's 2, 3. Sometimes it's right away.
That's the way it's been for the last 6 or 7 when that bell curve went upside down.
Oh, okay.
And so the
indicator. There are other ones that are like our debt is higher than ever.
Yeah, but they're saying that the pressure is coming from foreign economies, not from ours.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
matter.
Germany
Phil.
and China.
Here is a man who is going to hopes to run on saying, "Oh, the economy is great," and if by that time it isn't, what's he going to run on, Phil?
Well, I think it will be great at that time. Now, I was in an economics class.
Listen,
in Denver.
I hope it is, Phil, because I don't want to spend the rest of my life in poverty. Okay. But it looks like what?
Yeah, sorry.
What are you going to say?
Well, the other thing is that when I studied economics in college, if I remember correctly, whenever we had a trade war and used tariffs, I don't think it's ever worked. Mm-hmm. If I remember correctly, I don't believe it's ever worked in our favor in the long run.
I think you're
Well,
right.
tariffs aren't against the country that you're imposing.
Hurts us.
it hurts the consumer. And
Right,
and
it's just an emotional
and
thing.
he in the beginning he was saying no, it doesn't hurt the consumer. But wait, is that what they taught you at Wharton, for Christ's sake? What is it? The Wharton School of Broadcasting you went to?
These companies that have went to China, brought jobs and had jobs in China, are now moving to other countries as well as back to the United States, which is hurting China. China is being hurt by the tariffs.
Phil,
their economy has slowed down.
I intimately knows a little bit about the Chinese, and I got to tell you, even at their worst, they're going to be doing okay. They have there's a lot of money there. If you've never been to Beijing, but if you ever go to Beijing, God Almighty, what has happened to that town in the last 10 years? And the kind of influx of money into that town is unimaginable. Beijing makes New York City look like a backwater. Okay?
Except we can breathe the air in New York, can't you?
Well, it's been very difficult.
So, Alex, the other thing is
but
that
that
a lot
doesn't
of people in
change the
Beijing
argument.
have relatives in Taiwan, and they trade stocks in Taiwan through their relatives. They have all kinds of ways of making money there that no one even understands. Most people don't understand.
Yeah, my wife works for the biggest bank in China, CITIC Capital.
There you go.
And this is CITIC Capital Partners, which is a trading company that they have, in which they go out and buy up companies and so on and so forth. And they're doing very well. They are not hurting at all. All right. So the economy may be having a downturn in China, but all economies do. They have their ups and downs. China can wait us out. Okay. They've got the money, they've got the willpower, and they've got the power itself to wait us out. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They're waiting for the next election before they come to terms with any of this.
But all of these things put Xiaoping in a very difficult position. Not only he's got another nail in the coffin, which is Hong Kong and what's going on there.
He's got
the downturn in
his
the
name
economy.
Xiaoping. I don't think it is.
Huh?
I don't think it's Xiaoping.
Yeah, I think
it's
what
Ping.
It is. XI.
No, Xiaoping.
Xiaoping.
Yeah. Not Deng Xiaoping. You're thinking of Deng Xiaoping.
No, I didn't say Deng Xiaoping.
No. Anyway, the point is
number two
that he has no problems. You know why?
Because he's a president for life.
That's correct. So, it's a little, you really don't worry about your job security when your title is president for life.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And
like he knows that Trump's going to come and go, and the next guy after him is going to come and go, and the guy after him is going to come and go, and he's still going to be the president of China.
Well, we already know that Biden got into bed with the Chinese and the Russians, the Ukrainians. So why,
how did he get into bed with them?
There was a multi-million-dollar deal with his son, and while he was vice president.
Oh, and so he was in bed with them because his son was doing business with them.
Yeah,
I see. Okay, I like your thinking.
How
Phil.
did his son?
It's logical. It's logical thinking, and I'm sorry I don't think that way. Actually, I'm not sorry I think that way.
It just means you just don't think.
Yeah, you're watching a little too much Fox or Newsmax or whatever to get your talking points. Because a lot of people write me and they say, "Oh, I heard that on Fox, or I heard that on Newsmax, or I heard that, I read that on Drudge, the thing that Phil said last night."
Yeah, well, that's where you get the honest news. If you listen to Don Lemon,
you know what got me? You know what got me today? I watched all these newscasts. I watched MSNBC. I watched Fox. I watched CNN, and then I watched BBC. Do you know what their number one story was? Their lead story was on BBC.
Prince Andrew slept with that girl.
No. Do you know that there's a big breakout of hostilities between Pakistan and India?
Yes.
Well, you didn't see it on
over Kashmir.
You didn't see them in any of these newscasts. I didn't see them.
Yes, I did.
I didn't see it on any newscast today.
On Fox, they interviewed the Pakistani prime minister.
Good for Fox.
And they also
good for Fox. But all I'm saying is, in watching these, I did not see that story mentioned once. I could watch a whole hour of MSNBC and not see that story.
Of course not. They had dueling interviews on Fox with the Indian, the UN representative from India and Pakistani prime minister.
Yeah. Yes, Charlene.
I saw on my phone around 8 o'clock or something in Philadelphia there were cops shot, 5 cops or something.
Yeah, it was a drug bust. It gone bad.
Is that a big story? Or?
Well, yeah.
No, it wasn't a drug bust gone bad, Phil. It was a guy who they were going to arrest.
Right.
They went to his house. He was serving a warrant. It wasn't a drug bust that went bad. It was it was a warrant for the arrest of this guy, and the guy started shooting. So.
Yeah,
is it over with yet? I don't know. I haven't checked.
They got all the cops out of there. There were 2 of them that were trapped on one of the upper floors.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that the guy who was doing the shooting has been arrested yet, or at least he hadn't been arrested by the time the show started.
Wow, he's been lasting
all
a long
day.
time. I imagine I would have gotten something on my watch if they had caught him. You know.
Yeah. So the cops are the ones that were wounded are not in critical condition. The 2 that were trapped have been rescued.
Okay, good.
And the dead guy was an hour ago.
Alex?
Yeah.
I have a tripod. Is it any better tonight?
Oh yeah, it's very good. Yeah, that's a good idea. If you're going to use your cell phone, that's the best way to do it. Yes, Ray.
Have you talked about how Trump is saying that Bill Clinton is responsible for the murder of...
we mentioned that. Yeah.
Don't you find that laughable?
Well, to begin with, I have to give the president a certain skating on this, only to this extent, that he was retweeting somebody else's tweet on that.
Yeah, but if he retweets it, that is as good as saying it.
Yeah.
I
agree.
Would you retweet it?
Yeah.
And it was a comedian or something. And he said the comedian is a great Republican pundit and all this crap.
You know, I don't see that is that's in the realm of possibility.
But it's just insanity. You know, and he defends it and doubles down on
it.
Weird.
Even Sean Hannity, I think, went on the air to say Trump was wrong for putting that tweet out.
Oh, good.
You know,
right, cool.
I don't think anybody should retweet anything. If it's not original information, then you shouldn't retweet it.
Well, I always hate it when people on my Facebook page decide they're going to put some witty little cartoon they found. You know.
Well, it's still stealing intellectual property.
Well, no, forget about that part of it. When I put up something and then people want to make comments, I don't mind if they make comments. But if their comment is some cartoon they found somewhere else, fuck you. I want some originality and your own thoughts coming across. And so I do, and it's a pain in the ass for me because I have to kind of monitor that and kill stuff when I don't like it. So.
Well, Tony sends me Muppet pictures. How do you kill a Muppet?
How do you kill Tony? I think is the question. How do you kill Tony?
Yeah,
it's whatever. But
I've told him that I'd kill him a couple of times.
Yeah. Anyway, I think
he's got guns. I'm afraid.
I think I'll start rolling the theme. What do we say we do that? Hey, listen, Jeff, you've been a little quiet tonight, Jeff. But we love having you here anyway because you take up a square, which I appreciate.
He's only a circle in my hand.
Yeah. Phil, I'm ashamed of you tonight.
That's true.
Thank you.
I really am. I mean,
if I embarrass you, tell your friends.
Yeah. Well, I will denounce you 3 times. Much like Judas.
Yes.
Charlene, thank you so much for being here. Charlie, always wonderful having you on the program. Tony, good to have you here. Patrick, my man. Yeah. And of course, Ray. What I think would be a good idea is all of you gave a big wave goodbye, and I'll wave bye-bye back. There we go. And there goes our citizen panel. Let me hang up on them here so I can make the Skype lines available for Jack Bishop and the Intersection, which is next over most of the same station. Good having you here tonight, everybody. And tomorrow night, we'll be on right after Damian Chaplin does the exchange. He'll be here, and I'll be here at 10 o'clock tomorrow night. Same time, same station in life. You know, I'm actually running, I may be handing this over to Jack early. Well, what the hell? That's good too. Anyway, thanks everybody. I'll be back here tomorrow night. 10 o'clock, same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye.